Welcome to the UNSECURITY podcast. Each week, Evan and Brad give an inside look at current information security news, breaches, best practices, and other things you should know to improve your information security. Here are your hosts, FRSecure's Evan Francine and Brad Nye.
Good morning, world. It's time for another episode of the UNSECURITY podcast. It's Monday, May 1st, 2019. It's not May 1st.
It's May 6th.
May 6th. What do I have May 1st in my show notes?
I don't know, but I didn't catch it either till just now.
All right. Well, it's May 6th, I'm told. I'm Evan Francine, and this is episode 26. Joining me, as almost always, is Brad. Good morning, Brad. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. We had some good weather this weekend.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
Finally.
So nice to get out and be outside a little bit.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And this is, so according to our show notes, this is where we chit-chat just a little bit. And some people don't like that. Some people do.
You know, I got to keep it. It's kind of who we are.
Yeah, and we haven't seen each other all weekend. Were you here for the Cinco de Mayo party on Friday?
I was.
How did that go?
It was good. It was fun.
Anybody get crazy?
No.
Nobody need to have a talk with?
No. It was pretty tame.
How many people were here?
About, I guess, 25, 30 employees and then
spouses,
significant others and stuff. Yeah.
Cool. It was a good time.
So it was fun. Yeah.
We took the camper out for the first time this weekend.
My daughter is going on a trip here in July for a camping where it's up to the Boundary Waters and canoeing and portaging. And so she's like, I need to go try this out. And so
I did. I took my kids once one night to the Boundary Waters when they were probably about the same age as yours. And I went myself, or I went with a friend and these kids, my kids, and we didn't bring enough food. So we were like 3 days in. It's like, man, we're all super hungry. So we were picking wild raspberries and trying to do everything, trying to catch fish. I didn't catch much fish, so lost a little weight.
Crash diet.
Mm-hmm. All right. So last week I wrote an article about art, and it was more of a question, and I was kind of poking it at myself too, because I don't like to just point fingers. You know, they have that saying, when you point a finger, 4 point back or something like that.
Yes.
You've heard that.
Yeah.
So I wrote this article, and the title of the article is "Are Information Security People Arrogant?" Did you get a chance to read that?
I actually did.
In my show notes, I gave you credit for not.
I know. No, I actually read it.
What'd you think?
I think it was interesting. It was, I don't like to think of myself as arrogant, but there's definitely a couple in there I was like, yeah, okay. You gotta be careful that you don't fall into that trap.
Well, sometimes I think it's easy for somebody who gets passionate about something they do for a living. And, so much of what we do is about people. Right? Mm-hmm. And so you tell people, stop clicking on links. You tell people to choose strong passwords. You tell people to do all these things, and then, which seem pretty simple. And then when they don't, I think it's real easy to get maybe angry or frustrated.
Yeah, frustrated for sure.
So I was having this discussion. This is what made me think of it, is I was having this discussion with my mother, of all people, and I'm an only child, so she has no other children that she gets to call arrogant. But she called me, plain and simple, "You're arrogant." I was like, really? I'm just frustrated. Maybe I am arrogant. So I think in 2019, we use a lot of words that we don't know the meanings to, like bigot or, people just throw words around. So I went and looked up the meaning of the word arrogant, and I was like, maybe she has a point.
Yeah.
Can you think of a time when you've been maybe you've come across as arrogant? You just didn't think you were arrogant?
I think a lot of it for me is the assumptions mostly, right? Like you think, why would you have done this, right? Or these things that you weren't doing, it's so obvious. How did you not know that this was a problem, or how did you not catch it, or how did you allow this to continue?
Right.
And just assuming like others see that.
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't think I look down on them, but I just assume it's like, well, what?
Well, you're tall.
Well, there is that, but I don't think I've ever called somebody, one of the examples in there is thinking someone is stupid or things like that. I don't think I've done that, but it's frustrating. It's like, this is basic stuff. How do you not get it?
Well, I thought, and so the definition of arrogant is an attitude of superiority manifested in an overbearing manner or in presumptuous claims or assumptions. And so I thought, I think I do have, occasionally. I mean, I tried not to. I never want to come off as arrogant, but I think there have been times when I've had this attitude of superiority.
Yeah.
You look at users and you shake your head and you're like, oh, come on, really? I mean, like,
yeah,
I would never fall for that. I can't believe you would. And,
right.
I think that comes with a lot in this industry, it seems like.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think it's easy to do, because like you keep saying, we're not the normal ones.
Right.
So we don't think the same as others.
Right.
So it's really easy to fall into that trap, even without intending to be, what I guess you would traditionally think of as arrogant in your regular life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe it's just, but now that I think about it, lawyers to you seem arrogant? I mean, in general, right? I'm speaking in generalities, which is always dangerous.
Risky.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah.
Or doctors sometimes, surgeons.
Speak down to people.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so it was more of opposing the question. I didn't want to write the article like information security are arrogant, information security people are arrogant, because I think there's probably more who aren't.
Right.
But it's the few that give us a bad name, maybe.
Well, and I think part of it you also get is, that hero complex or Superman complex or whatever, where, you keep hearing how there's such a huge shortage of talent. And so if you're not careful, it's easy to go, well, I'm one of the few. I must be pretty special.
Right. Well, and this was one of the articles where I think when I posted it to LinkedIn, I think I got the most comments. I had more comments than I had likes, which is sort of rare. Mm-hmm. Usually it kind of goes the other way around, unless a lot of people just didn't like it, I suppose. That's probably okay too. But I learned that people don't like to be called arrogant. That's a very offensive word to people.
Yeah.
If somebody called you arrogant, would you be offended?
I would, but not at them. But I think more, crap, what did I do? Right. Because I don't want to come across that way.
Would you call them stupid?
It depends on who it is. No.
How dare you call me arrogant? You don't know nothing. You're stupid.
No. Probably not.
Can you think of people, that you've encountered in our industry, over the years that have been arrogant?
Oh, yeah.
Can you think of any one particular story?
Yeah, but it would definitely
Would you out them?
No.
Okay, it's not the guy sitting across the table.
No.
Good.
No, just, a lot of the times I think it's kind of the arrogance of I can do what I want and get away with it because I'm the security guy. Like I've seen security people send emails as other users, right, as a joke, and cause real issues for those users, or they do things and that if a regular user did would get fired, right. Well, but they're the security person, so they can do it. So there's a little bit of that type of arrogance. I think is more, what I see, and just a lot of the talking down to the users for sure. Yeah,
I've definitely seen my share of that. I just had a thought. It was about. I wonder what other people think about us. I mean, if I were to ask other people, I call them normal people.
Yeah.
And I just do that because you can call them everyday people, whatever, just people who aren't in our industry. If I were to ask them, are information security people arrogant? I wonder what kind of response I'd get.
That'd be interesting. I think you'd probably get a lot of BS, and why is be, talking in the big words that they don't understand and just assuming that they do understand it, which
that can come off as arrogant, can't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I can even not be arrogant, but if I'm using these big words and just assuming that people know what I'm talking about.
That's where I get caught up the most. I think I've told you this story when we first moved in to our house last year, telling the neighbors what we do. And I'm like, yes, PCI and high trust. And the guy's like, yeah, I sell this stuff for a living. I don't understand what you're talking about. And I was like, oh, my, sorry. And explained it. And he's like, oh, so this, the training we have to go through to swipe the credit cards. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's like, oh, I got it. Okay.
So now, have you ever been on the receiving end of arrogance in our industry? Where somebody, because I run into this sometimes, or I have in the past when I've gone to security conferences before, where, it's all about bragging and.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You see that a lot. I think.
Like this bro culture almost. And it's like, well, if you can't do this thing, then.
And that's where
from some people. It's generalities, which is dangerous.
Well, again, but it's that kind of that vocal minority, as it were. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think and that's what I would call that Superman complex, right? Like, hey, I'm coming in and I'm going to whatever, save the day or do whatever that nobody else can do. So you got to worship me.
Right. Get sort of that little G, or maybe in the big G, God complex where, I'm better than you because I can do these things and you can't.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you're on the receiving side, and then I'll let this arrogance thing go. If you're on the receiving side of arrogance, what does that feel like? Is that intimidation? Do you feel intimidated? Smaller?
I think there's tune them out.
Yeah.
I think it's actually counterproductive for the industry.
Right.
Because people just go, whatever, that guy, and don't listen to what they have to say, even if they have really good things to say.
Well, and I think on the other side, sometimes what you see is people who, I don't know if it's a lack of I don't know what it is, but some people follow those people. The arrogant people, they almost, just like a little G God, right? They idolize some of these people. Because I've been, that. I'm fairly active on Twitter, and sometimes I'll see security people say things that they shouldn't say.
Right.
Where they'll be ripping on another security person, or they'll be, ripping on a user. Just things that are totally arrogant. I mean, it's funny how you don't even need the full 140 words or however many words you can put on Twitter now. I mean, they can be arrogant in like 6.
Yeah.
And then you'll watch the likes and the retweets and the replies. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, man. Because Twitter's public, right? I mean, unless you've specifically made your feed not public. So people are seeing this public ranting and raving about, not raving, ranting, arrogant ranting, which doesn't help at all.
No.
And you wonder how these people get so many followers, so many, 'cause it's like, man, it's just not the right thing to follow, I don't think. I think
attitude. There's that certain grouping that likes the confidence, maybe. Like, oh, well, if they're that sure of themselves to talk that way, they must know what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. Should I create a list of Twitter accounts that...
No.
The arrogant Twitter accounts?
No.
Okay. Will that get me in trouble, do you think?
That's probably not worth the headache.
No. Yeah. Maybe before.
I liked your approach of the ones that are good.
Do that?
Yeah, you've got the
I like the ones that are good. Did I do that?
Or you said the 10 favorites.
Oh, that's in that article, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
See, I did read it.
You did read it. Did I? I don't think I did. Yeah, these are just 10. Yeah, I wanted to give 10 Twitter feeds of people that, I've followed for either a while, or I did follow for a while, or, something that I've always appreciated their contribution, at least on Twitter.
Right.
Because they come off as not being arrogant.
Right.
Tau Security, Aloria, Tony Cole at No Hackin', Roger Grimes, Jane Franklin, Dave Kennedy. Dave Kennedy is one of my favorite because he's just a cool guy. I don't know if you're not on Twitter as much as I am, are you?
I read a lot on the on the Twitters on Twitter, but yeah, I don't post a whole lot. I do need to get better at that. But
post a picture of those ribs you made, or that meat you smoked this weekend.
It was good. It was so good,
right? Well, and I was watching. But anyway, there's a list of 10 that I think they just seem like people that aren't arrogant.
I recognize. I was looking through it. I'm like, oh yeah. Seems like a good list.
I could easily create a second list.
Although
of the 10 most arrogant.
I was disappointed I wasn't on it. I'm just kidding.
Well,
I don't ever tweet.
You don't tweet. You don't tweet enough.
I know.
Get out there twitting.
Oh, it's okay.
No, man. You have good things to say. I'm assuming. I think you do. That's a compliment.
Sometimes.
That's a non-arrogant compliment for you. All right. So what's the takeaway? I think I just need to be careful myself, because I can't, at the end of the day, I can't control what other people do. I can't control if somebody's going to be arrogant, they're going to be arrogant.
Right.
But one thing I can control is, just keep it in check myself. I don't be careful what I'm saying, who I'm saying it to. Don't assume. I think assumptions get you into all kinds of trouble.
Yeah.
And be, kind of be that approachable person. So if you don't understand the words I'm using, or vice versa, let's just come clean. I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry. Can you,
right.
Can you put it in a way that maybe is a language that I speak? Because I think because two people speak different languages doesn't mean that one person is smarter than the other. They just speak different languages.
Yeah.
Right?
Very much so.
All right. So, I'm writing this book, the second book.
What? A book? What?
Why in the show notes you're supposed to say, yes, I know.
Another book? What? I hadn't heard.
And then you're supposed to roll your eyes.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
A book?
Perfect. Yeah. So I was writing this chapter of the book, and this kind of fits in with this arrogance thing where you assume that you know what people are thinking, and you never, I didn't ask what they think. So, I'm writing this book, and it's, for lack of a better title, it's Information Security for Normal People. And it's really meant to be a book that resonates with people who aren't in our industry. What things should they really be worrying about? What things, we tackle, is there a cyber war going on? If so, what does that mean for me? How do I protect my family? How do I protect the safety of my children?
Yeah.
It's that sort of book, and it's meant to be not using a bunch of technical jargon and things like that. And it's funny that when I think I'm not using technical jargon, normal people still think I'm using technical jargon.
Yeah, right.
Isn't that weird? So I'm writing this chapter of the book, and I'm kind of complaining about how we, as information security people, make the mistake of just assuming we know what they think. Mm-hmm. And worse yet, I think there are times when we actually try to tell them what they think.
Yeah.
Has your wife ever done that to you? She's not going to listen.
This is true.
She doesn't listen to our podcast.
No.
My wife used to do this a lot. That's why I ask.
I'm trying to think of a specific example right now. I know I've done this, and I just can't think of an example off the top of my head.
My wife used to get in this habit. And I don't know, maybe it was because I didn't share what I was thinking enough. So she would tell me what I was thinking. I'm like, that's not what I'm thinking. And it would get really irritating for me.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you think you know what I'm thinking?
They make assumptions and start acting. You're like, well, that's not it at all. Yeah.
So I was writing this chapter of the book, I didn't bring my wife into the book, but I was just talking about how we assume these things. And then it dawned on me, it's like, I've never actually, in mass anyway, any kind of study, any kind of research, I've never actually researched what normal people actually think about security, about various security topics.
Yeah. It's all like, hey, this is what we see or what we're here, but there's nothing formalized about it.
Yeah. So I stopped writing, put together this survey, and you participated. I think you had your wife participated. I have 537, I think, complete responses, which gives a margin of error of 4%.
That's pretty good.
4%. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think good enough to draw some conclusions.
Oh, yeah.
And certainly good enough for me to not feel like I'm assuming.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a good sample size compared to, especially considering there's nothing else that I've seen out there like it.
Yeah. Well, and it also opened up, like, the questions based on their answers. I have more questions. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, so that's what you think. Well, tell me more about that. So I think it'll lead to, I've already kind of talked to Kevin. Kevin's our CFO, if you don't know that.
Yeah.
About, I'd like to budget like a study a month, because you pay for the responses, and those responses can, $800 to $1,500, $2,000 a pop.
Yeah. It can get expensive, but it's worth it.
It really is, because the insight I got. So I've just started sort of mulling through the data. And if you still want to participate, on our show notes, there is a link to another blog post that I'd written about, must have more data. So if you want to give your input, and I'm taking input from security people and non-security people, because one of the questions in the survey is, are you a security person or not? So I can filter them out and kind of, do some good. Yeah,
that's a good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I want to filter those.
Study between the two.
Right. So but the results are pretty amazing. I did this one word map where I just took, because there was there's 30 questions in the survey, and only one of those questions is an open-ended question.
Okay.
The rest of them are, sort of yes, no, scale 1 to 10, that kind of stuff. So that one question I asked, what advice do you have for an information security expert for them to be more effective?
Okay.
Basically. And there was all over the place, different responses, but things, there are themes that popped out. So I did this word map just with the raw data. I didn't manipulate it at all.
Okay.
So some people had written sentences, some people had just written a couple of words, some people, So I just took it, dumped it. Did you see that?
No.
Oh, I'll have to show you. So this word map is like easy, understandable, simple. There's these key words that popped out. They're like, wow, okay.
This is what we have to focus on to talk to them.
Yeah. So as we're working on the MyFISA score or the MyFAC score, whatever, the name ends up being, it's going to make it so much more effective. Because at the end of the day, the theory is the same people that are working at work are the same people that are at home, right?
Yeah.
It's the same person.
Right.
So if you're not really security conscious at work or at home, it'll reflect in the other places. So far, really, really good study. I have a lot of data to still mull through. So you take 500 times 30 questions. It's a lot of just kind of different data to figure out. And data is a beautiful thing because you can, just portray it in so many different ways, right?
Well,
so many different angles.
Yeah, exactly. Look at it from, so many different,
Right. So it's fun. I'm excited. I think I'll be releasing some stuff about that pretty soon, and we might even do it in a press release because I think it is some impactful stuff.
No, I think that'd be, like I said, you just don't see these things done.
Right. Yeah, and I broke the survey down into 3 areas. One was information security, the next was privacy, and the third was online safety.
Okay.
Now, I'm guessing most normal people would think that those are all maybe. There's a question I should ask.
Yeah.
If they're all, some people may think they're all one and the same. They're definitely closely related, but they're different things. And so I'd asked questions like, how important is information to security to you and your family? And then just gave them five answers, super important, sort of important, all the way down to not important at all.
Or I don't think about it.
Then I asked them to rate themselves on their ability to protect themselves and their family on a scale of 1 to 10. If you keep the 10s in there, it'd be weird. I don't know how you could, even if you asked me that question, being around for 25 years, and I wouldn't give myself a 10.
No.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm pretty good. I mean, I know that there's a lot of gaps, though. I mean, because nobody knows it all. I'd say maybe an 8.
Yeah, so I was going to say 8.
But there was 33 people, I think, in the data that had given themselves a 10. So it's like, I don't know if you understood the question.
Yeah. Well, or they maybe they don't. Yeah, they don't understand the security piece of it, and they think they legitimately think they're good doing that good.
See, that's the thing. So you bring up a great point. The different perspectives on the data,
right?
Because you're right. Maybe that is what they think.
I don't have Facebook. Does that mean I'm higher than others?
Does that mean I'm a 10?
I mean,
right.
I should get some points for that.
I have a strong password. Does that mean I'm a 10?
Password manager, no Facebook.
Right.
I do have Twitter, but I have multi-factor.
Yeah. It's interesting because, so you run the data with those 10s in there and you run the data with them out, take the outliers and, it's still 5-ish, 6-ish, The trend is, the data says, 90%, I think, of the respondents. So that wasn't a surprise, said that it was very important to extremely important. But then, there's some definite disconnects there where I think we have opportunity. But anyway, I finally asked, I don't know if there have been other studies, but I know that I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I think
25 years of security stuff. And I don't think I've ever asked.
There's some stuff I've seen out of IC², the Safe and Secure Online, around teens and teen activity online and things like that. Mm-hmm. And that's got some pretty eye-opening numbers.
Right.
I don't know, 1 out of 10 teens have met someone they didn't know in real life.
Online.
They met online. They met in person.
Wow.
So I've seen some stuff around that, but
if you find that stuff, I'll go look for it because that'll definitely play into the online safety chapter.
I can definitely send that to you.
Because suicide rates have risen.
Yeah.
Especially in teenage girls since the advent of the smartphone. And I don't know, is there a correlation between that and social media and the smartphone? I don't know, specifically, but I don't think it's coincidence.
We were talking about that the other day. There was one study I think it was out of Britain or somewhere over there.
I think I know what you're talking about.
That basically confirmed that the number of attempts has more than doubled
in teenage girls.
And it was in teenagers and overall.
Oh, really?
But it was all based on like hospital records, and it wasn't like anecdotal evidence. It was hard medical records of attempted or successful.
Huh. Yeah. So I think one of the keys to our success as information security professionals, even though we work with businesses, I think is to meet people where they're at as much as you can to try to make it personal for them. Because sometimes, you're working at work and it's like, oh, it's not my data. I don't, whatever.
Yeah.
But those same practices are the same practices you're doing at home. And even though it's not your data, it still affects you personally, right? If you're the cause of a breach, that somebody's going to have to pay something.
Right. Well, and because we when we do training for customers, we have kind of a standard deck that we keep updated, but it's protecting personal and company data.
Right.
And we get a lot of, what? Why? This is about the company. Yeah, but if somebody's bank account is breached and they have no money and they're dealing with that, or if they've got all this fraud, how do you think that's going to impact their performance at work?
Right.
Or if they're doing these risky things at home, what do you think they're doing at work? So let's get good security practices that are easy to understand and relatable, right, and have it both ways. And usually the companies are like, okay, good. Yeah, good point. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely plenty of work to do, I think, for everybody. But so that'll be insightful. And I think there'll be some good information, in the book for that kind of good stuff. So we talked about Arrogance. We talked about the study, and like I said, I think in the next few weeks, maybe if there's some time that frees up, I'll publish some things about what I've learned or what we've learned from the data, and even make the raw data available. I mean, if people have different perspectives and want to do something.
Well, I know the next couple of weeks will be busy for you specifically, but both of us.
It will be.
You got some big speaking events coming up.
Oh yeah, that's true. I do. I'll be in L.A., Los Angeles, Anaheim next week at the ISACA CACS. What does CACS stand for?
I don't know.
CACS. It's funny because when James, I'm outing James now. I don't know if he listens, but when he first,
we'll find out.
Yeah, when he first sent the email asking if I was available to speak at this conference, for some reason he had written the ISACA CACA conference, CACA. I was like, whoops. I don't think you got that right. I mean, it'd be interesting it might be an interesting conference to go to. I mean, never been to the CACA conference, but yeah, that'll be next week. And then the week, next week also, you and I.
We both speaking at Secure 360.
What's your topic?
Disaster recovery doesn't have to be debilitating. So can be though. It can be, but how to get buy-in, how to successfully implement a DR program, and nice. Getting buy-in from the top, and what does that look like?
Nice.
Yeah.
I was tasked just a few months ago to lead the development of a business continuity plan and disaster recovery plan, and I refused. Well, I refused to lead the business continuity plan. I'll lead the disaster recovery.
Right.
But the business really has to get more, has to own much more of the business continuity plan. I'm not going to lead. I'll participate, but, it's not one for me to lead.
That's definitely a tough one.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, okay, well, who's the sponsor of this plan? I mean, I can even do a disaster recovery plan if IT or the CIO is the sponsor. But the CIO can't be the primary sponsor of the business continuity plan.
Right. Well, and so much of what the DR plan needs is from the business anyway.
Right.
And so, like, if you don't have that buy-in, it's going to be really hard. Yeah. If it's only IT working on it,
I don't know what I'm speaking on. Do you know what I'm speaking on next week at Secure 360?
I don't know. I know. I was talking to we have a couple of analysts going to it next week, to both days. And I was like, oh, it's great. Evan and I are both speaking. You can come listen.
Right. Heckle us.
No, I don't think so. I think we'll see somebody else.
We should give them rubber band guns.
Just start shooting at us.
Yeah.
If we're losing the crowd, just start shooting.
Right. Well, nowadays, though, people take that wrong.
Well, that's true.
Yes, we can. Maybe water balloons.
But the consensus was, no, I listen to you guys all day, every day. I think I want to hear someone else.
No.
It's like, I can't blame them.
Come on. Who wouldn't want to listen to this all day? I guess. All right.
Do you really want me to answer that?
Enough said. All right. So what else? Anything else this week coming up?
I don't think so.
360. Is there another speaking thing too?
No.
I'm pretty far behind right now.
I don't think so. There's some stuff going on, but
okay. All right, well, let's jump into some news.
Yeah.
So it's crazy every week. When I look
so much.
I know I look at like, well, what sort of news things do we want to talk about? It's crazy. Every week there's just a lot of major stuff. So one of the things I thought, because I like to tout when the good guys win, when the good guys win one. So gbhackers.com, which isn't, I don't know much about gbhackers.com. It seems like some of their stories are really good. Some of them I'm like, I don't know
sensationalized.
Yeah. So anyway, the title of the story is Authorities Shut Down the World's Largest Dark Web Marketplace and Arrested Its Operators. Did you catch this at all?
No, I hadn't seen a lot about it. So it was a really good read. I thought, I was like, oh, I mean, about these things, right? I'd heard of the marketplaces. I just didn't see that they'd been shut down.
It's crazy how the bad guys always seem to eventually get caught. They make a mistake. They leave, use the wrong handle in the wrong forum somewhere, or just, something.
Yeah, something with some little thing they didn't put on masking on an IP on one post or something, and it gets tied back to them.
Right. That's funny. So the title says the world's largest dark web marketplace. But then the first line in the story is German federal police, with the help of Interpol and the FBI, take down the world's second largest dark web. So one of the largest, whether it's the largest or second largest. Now, do you spend much time on the dark web? I don't.
No.
Yeah, I don't have enough time anymore.
No. Yeah.
But there are a number of services I think that do a pretty good job of monitoring the things that happen. I don't even like the name dark web because it just seems, I hate the buzzwords we use in our industry, but it's so like dark. I mean, there's lights. They got lights on too.
I think I see like dark web and just it's not indexed.
The dark web.
I was gonna say, do you need your?
Yeah, wait. Can I do it?
Wait, hold on. No, I think don't I have to? Is it that one? Yeah.
The dark web.
No, it didn't work.
Oh, what is the voice? Do we hear if it worked last time?
Yeah, you would hear it. I don't know.
Did you listen to the last podcast?
No.
Do you ever?
Sometimes.
The dark web. The dark web. Oh, no, I'm shouting.
There it is.
You could hear it?
Do it now.
The dark web. Oh. Welcome to the dark web.
All right. That was cool. We had to do it because it sounded really...
Can you tell we record this early in the morning? We're a little...
Oh, yeah. It's Monday morning.
A little fun.
All right. So, anyway, it was taken down. Good job, German federal police, Europol, and FBI. Yeah. So the site is down. The site was called the Wall Street Market. Over 1.1 million users and 5,400 vendors on this dark web. And if you know, I'm not going to give you instructions on how to play on the dark web, because it's actually just a place. Every time I spin up Tor and start playing, I just feel dirty. You can't unsee, you can't undo some of the things that you might find there. So
just don't go.
Yeah. Trust the pros that, plus if you play with fire, sometimes you get burned, right? So
you got to be careful with.
Yeah. If you don't know what you're doing and you're, running around down there. So anyway, that's, and there's a good press release. There's a link to the press release, on, the takedown and all that good stuff. I don't know if the details, I didn't see the details on specifically how it was taken down, but I'm sure that there's a write-up somewhere on the specifics, the mistake that they made and all that stuff. But there's some good, like the Silk Road, that whole story.
Oh, yeah.
It's such an interesting story if you've never followed it. I think they've done some documentaries. There's been some Netflix shows, and some other things about that.
Yeah, there's a link in there to the actual Europol
press release.
It's got a little bit more info. So they're saying there were the two, the Valhalla or Silkity, I guess. Silkity, SALKKITIE.
Let's call it that.
The Valhalla Marketplace. I like that one better.
Yeah.
So they shut that one down earlier and then shut down Wall Street Market. But they said, yeah, it's got two of the highest selling suppliers of narcotics were arrested in the U.S. So a little more detail in there.
Yeah, I mean, you can get anything on the dark web. You can get hitmen. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'd trust a hitman through the dark web.
There's a show about that where you're trying to hire people and it's like all stings. I saw some.
You might have better luck on Craigslist than Tor. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, that's it's nice. I like to see, when the bad guys lose once in a while. Because they do. And I think we lose track of that sometimes too. We just think that what's the use?
Yeah.
But you take down a marketplace like that, it does. Yes, there will be another one that just pops up in its place. That will always happen. But at least there'll be a period of time when the availability of some of these things, some of these illegal things, will be lessened.
Right.
And sometimes maybe that's enough to deter somebody, to think twice, to slow down, if you're going to do something rash or stupid.
Yeah, and there's
stuff
saying,
like that.
Like the Valhalla one's been out since 2013. So it's been around a while.
6 years. Wow.
That's a long time for
Valhalla has been.
But, they're significant Bitcoin in both that were seized. So there's, it is taking some of that stuff
off the market
and out of those hands. It's not, you can't just replace Bitcoin. It's a finite supply.
Gone. Right. Yeah, and conversely, one of the biggest things, that I get frustrated with in an incident response is just how the attackers got something from somebody, right? And oftentimes it's been money, and they'll just reuse that money, oftentimes reinvest it into future attacks.
Right.
Well, here, it's nice to take some of that money back. Now,
right.
It won't go back to the original owners, assuming that there was any.
Right, but hopefully it goes towards maybe fighting.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one, is from TechCrunch, and the title of this article is Security Lapse Exposes a Chinese Smart City Surveillance System. So even the Chinese make mistakes.
Yeah.
But, there's nothing. I have a friend who's Chinese. He's actually my Chinese.
Oh, yeah.
My Chinese Canadian security friend. And he was telling me about, we had the opportunity to sit. We drove to the airport together one day, and I was just asking him about China because I've never been to China. I don't know much about China. And I was asking him, what's it like living in China? Is there privacy? And it seems like people are kind of controlled there. And yeah, he confirmed a lot of those things, but then even worse than I thought. Yeah. I mean, they have surveillance cameras everywhere.
Right. Yeah, there's some videos of people that were streaming. The police just come in and say, "Oh, we're taking you downtown or whatever because of what you were looking at online." Right.
So this smart city surveillance system, I think most of the surveillance in China, if not all, is used by the state to control the population. Right? It's a communist state.
Right.
And so this smart city, we hear the word smart city and think, oh, that's cool. Well, but this surveillance system was used. It's not what we think of as a smart city, right? It's so the government can control these people. But anyway, there's some good information about what this smart city does, some of the artificial intelligence, sort of that they were putting into it. And
I thought the best part of this article was, so it was hosted on Alibaba on their cloud platform, and their public release said, well, as a public cloud provider, we don't have the right to access the content in the customer database. And the next line is, while they may not have visibility, we did.
Isn't that awesome?
It was on the web without a password. Yeah. come on.
Imagine that.
But I think, yeah, the big thing there is this is what I think is unsettling about using biometrics, right? They have all the facial recognition, all the stuff, all the data points are there. You can, poor implementation. You can't really change that stuff. So
and that's the thing in China, right? There is no privacy.
Right.
They don't value privacy like they do in the West. Imagine something like GDPR ever standing, a chance,
right,
in China. So it's such a different, sort of culture, and the billions of people that are in China. You're right. Those facial recognition, they don't want you to have, highly secured accounts and,
right,
strong authentication. They want us to not have it, but in terms of the government, it's all control.
It also had an attractive score, which would be scary for a lot of us.
Attractive score?
Yeah, the database had all the details about them and included an attractive score.
What's an attractive score?
I get if they're attractive or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that part.
Yeah. So, they can tell sunglasses or a mask, or if the eyes or mouth are open, if they have a beard.
Oh, so that's sort of attractive, not like you're good looking.
No, I think they're saying like the age and what their ethnicity is. And it's kind of what I got it as.
So you could just sort it,
quote unquote, attractive score.
Sort it by the
most attractive or least attractive.
Right. Huh.
That'll take care of your arrogance.
Yeah. What do you mean I only scored a 20?
Yeah.
Son of a. Yeah, it's an interesting story. I think it gives some the first thing I got out of it was, poor security is poor security, right?
Right.
The Chinese have just as many problems and issues, if not more or less. I guess it doesn't, I don't know. They're human beings,
mm-hmm.
right? And anytime you put somebody in, they make mistakes. And this is just an example of that mistake.
Well, and even if it's AI, it's still programmed by people. So you get those, and we've talked about that, right? It's the biases of the people that programmed it get put into the AI, right, and it just compounds from there.
Right.
Even if it's not intentional.
Right.
It's human nature. That's what we do.
Right. Yeah. There are bugs in my word processing program, for crying out loud. And I'm not expecting bugs in an AI.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, good article. I think some good information. No privacy in China. I think that was the second part that sort of hit home, is just the kinds of things that get tracked, for Chinese citizens. And this would obviously never fly in the United States.
I hope not.
Yeah, it's true. Hope. I guess maybe we don't know. The last article is Mystery Database Exposes 80 million U.S. households, or data on 80 million U.S. households. So this is from Naked Security. This is one of your favorite sources.
It is.
Yeah. And the title is Mystery Database Exposes Data on 80 million U.S. households. Mystery database. I don't think they don't know how it got there.
No, and what's weird is it's only on people over the age of 40.
Includes name, birth date, gender, income, homeowner status, map coordinates, whether they're married.
But not how many kids.
Nope. And dwelling type.
But not Social Security.
Right.
I'll be honest. They don't know who it is, but to me, immediately I look at that and think it's got to do something with politics.
Yeah, I don't know.
Targeting around that.
So you get name,
because they don't care about kids or Social Security. But older. Sadly, we're in that group. Older people.
Speak for yourself, man. I'm going back in age.
Right, 29 and holding.
Yep, that's at least how I'm going to act.
Yeah. Well, I don't act 29.
Ask my wife.
Yeah.
Well, and so a lot of these news articles too, like this one was posted 5 days ago. So I don't know if there are updates after. Mm-hmm. We usually don't have enough time between, identifying what we're going to do for the show and doing full research on each one of the articles. Maybe we should do that a little bit more. I'm thinking I should anyway. Because I don't know if there's been an update to this, but it is very interesting because it was.
Let's see.
Don't know how it got there. It's an open database, 24 gigabytes worth of records hosted on a cloud server, a Microsoft cloud server, with this sort of data in it, and it's sort of a mystery.
There's no update on the VPN Mentor article, just as the last one is from the 30th. It says it's no longer open.
So it was Noam Rodham, and Ron Lokar from VPN Mentor who found this database. Mm-hmm. And so let's go through it again. Name, birth date, gender, income, home. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of some sensitive information there. Mm-hmm. The one that freaks me out, or not freaks me out, it makes me feel the most sort of queasy is the map coordinates.
Yeah.
I sort of don't want people to know where I've been or where I'm at.
Yeah, it's interesting that there's a member code and score for each entry. So there's it's tracking something.
Yeah, there's something more to correlate there for sure. So what did you say? What other parts? A score?
There's a member underscore code and a score in every entry.
Underscore code.
So there's some sort of like a unique ID for each person.
It's a Sam's Club database.
Right.
Costco database.
No.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So, I would expect more to come out about that maybe in the future because there's got to be some correlation. We have a lot of smart people. I'm sure there's, plenty of smart people taking a look at what these things have to do with each other. Yeah, because it's the same way oftentimes they'll track back, well, that's different. But, oh, geez, sometimes they'll track, I must knock that over. Sometimes they'll track credit card transactions, but this isn't transactional data, so I don't know.
But it's saying, because you track when they're home, when they're not home. Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. So definitely a mystery database, but one of the things that's, I don't know, it's going back to 80 million U.S. households. How many households are there in the United States?
I don't know.
330 million people.
100.
So, I mean, you're talking potentially 80%, 70, 80% of the U.S.
There's a thing in the
population.
Up to 65% of U.S. households is what the
65%. So so over half of all U.S. households. So mine, chances are better than half that your data and my data are in there somewhere. Is this going to be on Have I Been Pwned?
I don't know.
No, it can't. There's no email address. Isn't that how we match?
Yeah.
So how am I going to find out? Maybe VPN Mentor will put something up.
That's weird.
But then what?
But it looks like it's target.
Verify.
If you go to the VPN Mentor site, they've got the screenshot of the database entry, and it really looks like it's like a household targeting, not people. So it's got like the address, and then it's got a sub of that is who lived there. So the people aren't the main
target. It's the address.
It's the address, and then it shows who lives in those addresses.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway.
Something to follow up on. Something to see if we can't find more.
Yeah.
At some point. All right. Well, like I said, there's plenty of other news too. I think the hacking of GitHub, the repositories, and then holding code ransom. There's a story on motherboard.com. I think that was pretty interesting. And it's titled, "Someone is hacking GitHub repositories and holding code ransom." Not cool. But that's a good read. We're coming towards kind of the end of the show. We have a full week ahead. What are you up to this week? Anything?
I've got our monthly management VTO, and then we're doing a customer advisory board event around incident response on Thursday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So that'll be good.
Yeah, Oscar will be here this week.
Yeah, he should be here today, actually.
Yeah, That'll be cool. He sent me the documentation.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to read it yet, so I'm excited to look at that.
It's been good.
Good. That'll be fun. Yeah, I think this week, Friday, I think I have a due date. I have a delivery for that AOR bit. You're an ICCSF thing. When's that supposed to, do you have a date yet?
No, I'm still waiting on some scanning stuff.
Okay.
But
yeah, that'll take a while.
As soon as I get that, I should be done. I'll be done this month.
Okay. That'll be cool. Yeah, other than that, I think Friday I leave for LA. Going to spend the weekend in LA. And then I speak, I think I open the conference. I'm speaking like 7 something in the morning.
On Monday?
Monday.
Oof.
Yeah. Nobody's going to be there, but you'll still be sleeping. Like, who wants to talk? Cause I think I'm talking about third party.
Yeah.
Information security risk management. Who wants to talk about that on a Monday morning? But I'll be calling into the show. You're hosting.
Yep.
We'll have a special guest next week. We're actually going to have lunch with him today. I'm excited about that. So look for the show notes on Friday.
Hopefully,
yeah. And then, but that'll be fun because he'll have some really good insights on things that are going on that he's been working on in K through 12, which, both of our hearts, are there. And that's it. So we'll have some drama here and there. Everything will be cool. And speaking of cool, if you want to be cool, you want to follow Brad on Twitter, even though he doesn't tweet. He's going to start tweeting.
I'll post the picture of the
what?
bacon wrapped pork loin.
There you go.
Applewood
like
smoke.
we learned last week from Christoph. He uses buffer.
Yeah.
Just buffer it.
I know.
Read some news on Sunday when you're just kind of relaxing, getting done with the weekend, and just buffer them all. Yeah, and then my Twitter. So at Bradnigh, BRADNIGH. That's where to find you on Twitter. Me, it's just my name, at Evan Francine. Easy enough. And email us at unsecurity@protonmail.com if you have, questions, comments, concerns, something you'd like us to talk about specifically. We like to be, sort of as relevant as possible. Otherwise, that's it. Until next week.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the UNSECURITY podcast. We value our listeners and would love to hear from you. Give us your feedback by emailing us at unsecurity@protonmail.com. That's UNSECURITY@PROTONMAIL.com. Be sure to tune in next week to hear the latest insights from Brad and Evan.